Christmas is often celebrated as a season, marked by dates on the calendar, decorations, and festivities. But what if I told you that the essence of Christmas is not confined to a specific time of year? True Christmas is a mindset, a way of thinking and living that transcends holidays and calendars. It is a mindset of generosity, gratitude, and love. It is the conscious choice to extend kindness, to forgive, and to see the needs of others, regardless of the season. Many people wait for the calendar to turn December before they begin to act with compassion. They wait for the season to permit generosity, for society to signal when it is appropriate to give, to celebrate, or to connect. But mindset-driven Christmas is not bound by societal expectations. It is expressed daily through actions, decisions, and attitudes. It is the internal posture of recognizing the value of people, relationships, and purpose. To adopt the Christmas mindset means to cultivate gratitude. Gratitude is not dependent on circumstances, but on perspective. It is choosing to celebrate life's blessings, to acknowledge the gifts that often go unnoticed, and to give thanks even in moments of challenge. Gratitude naturally produces generosity. When your heart is thankful, it cannot help but reach out, support others, and share your resources. Moreover, the Christmas mindset is about love expressed through action. It is love that gives without expecting return, that forgives without conditions, and that serves without hesitation. It is the conscious decision to embody the principles that bring hope, joy, and restoration into the lives of others. In essence, it is living with a purpose beyond self, recognizing that our influence and impact are measured by how we lift others, not just by what we accumulate. Finally, the Christmas mindset is about legacy. What we do during the holiday season is temporary, but a life lived with the Christmas mindset leaves permanent marks. Every act of kindness, every word of encouragement, every gesture of love contributes to a world where generosity, compassion, and hope are the standard, not the exception. Therefore, remember, Christmas is not a season dictated by dates on a calendar. It is a mindset cultivated daily. It is the expression of gratitude, the practice of generosity, the demonstration of love, and the commitment to making a lasting impact. When we embrace Christmas as a mindset, every day becomes an opportunity to reflect the true spirit of this celebration. Generosity is often misunderstood as something that is reserved for special occasions or moments of convenience. Many people think that generosity is a seasonal act, something that can be postponed until a particular date, a holiday, or an event. Yet, true generosity is not dictated by the calendar. It is dictated by the condition of the heart. Generosity beyond time means cultivating a mindset where giving, serving, and uplifting others is a natural part of life, not an occasional performance. It is the deliberate choice to invest in people and their well-being at all times, regardless of personal gain or recognition. A mindset of generosity recognizes that the resources we possess, whether time, energy, knowledge, or material wealth, are not meant to be hoarded. They are tools entrusted to us for the purpose of blessing others. When we give without reservation or limitation, we embrace a principle that transcends seasons. Life is more meaningful when it is shared. True generosity does not wait for the right moment or the perfect opportunity. It flows naturally from a heart that understands the value of service, the power of encouragement, and the impact of contribution. Generosity beyond time also challenges us to think differently about wealth, success, and influence. Some people measure their abundance by what they accumulate, yet abundance finds its highest purpose when it is directed outward, when it serves to improve the lives of others. Those who adopt a timeless generosity understand that every act of giving, no matter how small, has the potential to change lives. A single act of kindness, a word of encouragement, or a practical gesture can ripple through communities, creating opportunities and transforming destinies. The mindset of generosity does not limit itself to grand gestures. It recognizes that consistency in small acts often produces the greatest results. This kind of generosity also reflects maturity and wisdom. It is easy to give when it is convenient, when resources are plentiful, or when recognition is assured. But the one who gives beyond the constraints of time gives even when it is inconvenient, even when it requires sacrifice, and even when no one is watching. It is in these moments that the character of the giver is revealed. True generosity is not transactional, it is transformational. It changes not only the lives of those who receive, but also the life of the one who gives. It cultivates humility, gratitude, and a profound understanding that life's greatest fulfillment comes from service, not accumulation. Generosity beyond time is also a principle of legacy. What we give consistently, regardless of the season, becomes part of the impact we leave behind. It is not the gifts wrapped in shiny paper or the applause received that define our legacy, but the enduring influence of a life dedicated to blessing others. Generosity becomes a way of life, a mindset that shapes decisions, actions, and relationships. It teaches others that giving is not a temporary obligation, but a permanent posture of the heart. Ultimately, generosity beyond time is a reflection of a life aligned with purpose. It recognizes that we were placed on this earth not merely to exist, but to make a meaningful difference. It is a daily commitment to see beyond oneself, to respond to the needs of others, and to invest in a future shaped by compassion, service, and love. When generosity becomes a mindset rather than a seasonal act, it transforms ordinary moments into extraordinary opportunities to impact the world. Gratitude is more than a polite expression or a simple acknowledgement of what we have. It is the foundation of a mindset that shapes our perspective, our choices, and ultimately our destiny. When we understand gratitude as a principle rather than a seasonal act, we begin to recognize that our attitude toward life determines the quality of life we experience. Gratitude is not dependent on circumstances. It is a conscious decision to focus on what is present, to celebrate blessings, and to value the gifts that often go unnoticed. A life built on gratitude is a life of purpose, perspective, and profound impact. Too often, people wait for moments of abundance or convenience to express gratitude, as if gratitude must be earned or justified by achievement. Yet, true gratitude does not wait for circumstances to be perfect. It does not measure blessings by their size, their monetary value, or their visibility. Gratitude is the deliberate choice to see value in what exists, to celebrate life itself, and to recognize the potential for growth even in challenges. When gratitude becomes the foundation of our mindset, it transforms our perception of the world. What was once seen as limitation becomes opportunity. What was once a setback becomes a lesson. And what was once ordinary becomes extraordinary. Gratitude also cultivates humility. It shifts our focus from entitlement to appreciation, from complaint to celebration. When we are truly grateful, we acknowledge that life is not owed to us, but given to us as a gift. This understanding changes the way we interact with people and the world around us. Gratitude fosters generosity because a thankful heart naturally desires to give, to bless, and to uplift. The person who practices gratitude consistently does not hoard their resources, energy, or love. Instead, they share freely, knowing that the act of giving magnifies their own sense of abundance. Moreover, gratitude strengthens resilience. Life is filled with challenges, disappointments, and trials that can easily breed frustration or despair. Yet, when gratitude is the foundation of our mindset, we are equipped to endure difficulties with perspective. Gratitude allows us to see lessons in adversity, to recognize growth in hardship, and to maintain hope when circumstances are uncertain. It anchors the mind and heart, providing stability in moments of chaos. Those who live with a foundation of gratitude are less likely to be overwhelmed by fear, envy, or bitterness, because their focus remains on the blessings and possibilities rather than on what is missing. Gratitude also deepens relationships. When we acknowledge and appreciate the contributions of others, we strengthen trust, loyalty, and love. A grateful heart does not take people for granted. It values the presence, support, and encouragement of those around it. By expressing genuine appreciation, we create an environment of mutual respect and encouragement, where people feel seen, valued, and motivated to contribute positively. Gratitude is therefore not only an internal mindset, but also an outward expression that influences communities, families, and networks. Ultimately, Gratitude as a foundation is a principle of life alignment. It positions us to recognize purpose, to embrace responsibility, and to act with intentionality. It is the soil in which generosity, love, and integrity grow. Without gratitude, even the most abundant life can feel empty, and even the most successful achievements can leave a person unsatisfied. But when gratitude guides thought and action, life becomes a celebration. Every moment, a lesson, and every encounter, an opportunity to experience and share blessings. A life rooted in gratitude is a life that lives in abundance, regardless of circumstance, and leaves a legacy of joy, encouragement, and influence that endures beyond the temporal. Love is often spoken of as a feeling, an emotion that comes and goes with circumstances. But true love is not a fleeting sentiment. It is a deliberate choice expressed through action. Love in action is the practical manifestation of care, concern, and commitment toward others. It is the conscious decision to serve, to give, and to bless, regardless of personal gain or recognition. This kind of love is not seasonal or occasional. It is a mindset that transforms relationships, communities, and even personal destiny. To live a life of love in action is to recognize that the greatest measure of one's life is not what is received, but what is given, shared, and invested in the lives of others. Many people misunderstand love, equating it with emotion alone or with the expectation of reciprocity. Yet, love in action is not transactional. It does not depend on whether someone meets your expectations or whether circumstances are favorable. Love in action is intentional. It chooses to serve even when it is inconvenient, to forgive even when it is difficult, and to encourage even when there is no immediate reward. It reflects maturity, wisdom, and an understanding that life's ultimate fulfillment comes from the impact we make on others, not from what we accumulate for ourselves. Love in action also requires discipline and consistency. Emotions are unreliable guides, but purpose-driven love is steadfast. It calls for patience when others fail, humility when we are wronged, and perseverance when progress is slow. It teaches that every small act of kindness, every word of encouragement, every gesture of support contributes to a life of influence and significance. One act of love and action, repeated consistently, can ripple through generations, transforming families, communities, and society at large. The power of love lies not in grandiose statements, but in daily, intentional choices to act for the benefit of others. Furthermore, love in action is inherently empowering. It lifts those who are discouraged, restores those who are broken, and strengthens those who are weak. A life dedicated to loving in action creates an environment where others can thrive, where hope is rekindled, and where potential is realized. When love is expressed through deeds, it communicates a truth that words alone cannot convey, that each person is valued, respected, and worthy of care. This form of love has the ability to heal wounds, reconcile conflicts, and build bridges where division once existed. Love in action also shapes the character of the one who gives it. It develops empathy, patience, and integrity. When love is consistently expressed through action, it becomes a guiding principle that informs decisions, influences priorities, and defines purpose. A life of love in action is intentional and selfless, moving beyond personal desire to embrace the greater good. It is a reflection of understanding that life's ultimate success is measured not by possession or status, but by the lives touched, the hearts healed, and the hope restored. Ultimately, love in action is not limited to a moment, a season, or a calendar date. It is a mindset, a way of living that transforms ordinary life into extraordinary impact. It is expressed in how we serve others, how we forgive, how we encourage, and how we consistently choose to put others before ourselves. Love in action leaves a legacy that endures beyond time, inspiring others to embrace the same mindset. To live with love in action is to understand that the greatest power in life is not found in wealth, influence, or knowledge, but in the capacity to love intentionally, practically, and consistently. Forgiveness and reconciliation are not merely moral suggestions or optional acts of kindness. They are foundational principles for living a life of peace, purpose, and influence. Many people misunderstand forgiveness, thinking it is a favor done for someone who's wronged them, or that it depends on the sincerity of the offender. True forgiveness, however, is an intentional decision of the heart, a choice to release bitterness, resentment, and the desire for retaliation. It is not about condoning wrongdoing or forgetting the offense. It is about reclaiming your peace, your focus, and your capacity to live without the burden of anger or revenge. Forgiveness is a principle that frees the one who forgives as much, if not more, than the one being forgiven. Reconciliation, on the other hand, goes beyond forgiveness. It is the active pursuit of restoring broken relationships, bridging gaps, and repairing what has been damaged. While forgiveness may occur internally, reconciliation often requires action, humility, and courage. It calls for conversations, expression of a truth, and a willingness to rebuild trust. Both forgiveness and reconciliation are expressions of strength rather than weakness. They demonstrate wisdom and emotional maturity, showing that the heart is not controlled by offense, but by purpose and principle. Holding on to grudges and refusing to forgive has far-reaching consequences. Unforgiveness creates a prison within the mind and spirit, trapping individuals in cycles of anger, frustration, and negativity. It clouds judgment, diminishes joy, and stunts growth. When we refuse to forgive, we allow the past to control the present and dictate the future. Forgiveness breaks these chains, releasing the mind to think clearly, the heart to love freely, and the spirit to embrace the fullness of life. It is a principle of freedom and personal empowerment. Reconciliation, when paired with forgiveness, strengthens relationships and restores community. Broken relationships, whether with family, friends, colleagues, or communities, can hinder purpose and diminish influence. Reconciliation allows for the restoration of trust, the rebuilding of mutual respect, and the creation of an environment where collaboration and growth are possible. It teaches that relationships are more valuable than pride, and that true strength is demonstrated not in holding on to offense, but in choosing restoration. Reconciliation requires humility because it acknowledges that no one is perfect and that all people at some point make mistakes. Forgiveness and reconciliation also reflect an understanding of human imperfection and divine principles. No one is free from error, and all are in need of grace at some point in life. By practicing forgiveness, individuals demonstrate empathy and wisdom, recognizing that clinging to offense is ultimately destructive. Reconciliation, when possible, embodies the highest expression of love, showing that relationship can be rebuilt and that trust, though fragile, can be restored with commitment and intentionality. Ultimately, forgiveness and reconciliation are not acts limited by circumstance or season. They are principles of a mindset that values peace over resentment, purpose over pride, and relationships over grudges. They allow individuals to move forward without the weight of past offenses, to embrace life with clarity and freedom, and to influence others positively through the demonstration of grace. A life guided by forgiveness and reconciliation is a life that radiates freedom, strength, and enduring impact. It is the mindset that transforms brokenness into wholeness and conflict into opportunity for growth, making it one of the most powerful principles one can live by. Legacy through influence is the ultimate expression of a life lived with purpose and principle. While many focus on personal achievements, wealth, or recognition, true legacy is measured not by what is accumulated, but by what is imparted to others. Influence is the ability to shape, inspire, and guide lives. And when it is exercised intentionally, it creates a legacy that transcends time and continues to impact generations long after one's presence is gone. Legacy is not about the temporary applause or the fleeting attention of the world. It is about enduring significance, the mark left on hearts, minds, and communities through consistent, purposeful action. Every individual has influence, whether recognized or not. It is expressed in decisions, words, relationships, and daily actions. The question is not whether we can leave a legacy, but whether we are conscious of the influence we wield, and whether we use it to create lasting impact. Influence is a principle of leadership and stewardship. To leave a legacy through influence is to understand that our lives matter not because of what we achieve for ourselves, but because of what we inspire, shape, and empower in others. It is the mindset that our purpose is amplified when it benefits more than just ourselves, when it touches others in meaningful and transformative ways. Legacy through influence requires intentionality. It is not an accidental byproduct of existence. Every interaction, every act of teaching, encouragement, or mentorship contributes to the formation of influence. Those who leave lasting legacies recognize the value of investing in people and principles and in the cultivation of character. They understand that influence is cumulative, built over time through consistent example, integrity, and service. Even small, intentional acts can ripple outward, shaping communities and inspiring movements that continue long after one's immediate presence is gone. Influence exercised through wisdom and principle has a multiplier effect. It does not simply impact the immediate environment, but creates patterns of thought, behavior, and action that are reproduced in others. When we influence others positively, we equip them to influence yet more people, creating a chain reaction of growth, empowerment, and leadership. This is the true essence of legacy. It is not contained in material possessions or titles, but in the lives that are transformed and the potential that is released through our influence. Legacy also requires a focus beyond personal ambition. Many measure success by accumulation, recognition, or fleeting fame. Yet these are temporal and often leave no lasting mark. True legacy prioritizes character, wisdom, and impact over self-interest. It is built through mentorship, teaching, generosity, and service, ensuring that what we leave behind has enduring value. Every life influenced by our actions becomes part of the tapestry of our legacy, demonstrating that our purpose is fulfilled not in isolation, but in the empowerment and growth of others. Ultimately, legacy through influence is a principle that ensures life has eternal significance. It transcends seasons, circumstances, and even death. It is the natural outcome of a life lived with purpose, guided by principles, and focused on serving others. When influence becomes intentional, principled, and consistent, it creates a ripple effect that changes communities, transforms generations, and establishes a mark that cannot be erased. To live with the mindset of legacy through influence is to live beyond the temporal, to invest in what matters most, and to leave behind a world that is better, stronger, and more purposeful because of the life we lived.